The following was filmed in a secure environment. In a live environment, all relevant guarding must be in place. Some sequences in this video have been shortened or speeded up for ease of viewing. The new Mini Customer Splice Point by Prismium is a small discrete design and capable of housing a single splice protector. For blown fibre and multi-splice options, including X and Y cable, and multiple customers, the Mini CSP is still the preferred solution. The MCSP must not be fitted in any other location other than an external wall-mounted location and fitted no higher than 1.5 meters. The MCSP can be used for both UG and overhead single splice provisions, but must not be used to house a copper connection. We'll show you later how to deal with these. Let's take a look at an overview of the MCSP and the cable ports and anchors. This splice point is accessed by unscrewing the two PZ1 screws on the lower left and right of the splice point cover. Inside the lid is a place to provide your routing details. The MCSP has three fixing points, one upper and two lower. They are aligned to the current 101 cover holes. All three fixing points must be used on installation. The splice point has four lower ports. Port 2 is for the incoming fibre and the only port to be used for this purpose. Ports 1, 3 and 4 are for the exiting fibre and used depending on the direction of the exiting lead-in cable. Leading goes to the left, down behind the cap-in, or leading goes to the right. The MCSP is supplied with a fixed cable entry anchor, an entry gland and a movable exit cable anchor and gland. Both incoming and exiting cables must have the grommet and anchor fitted. The incoming anchor and gland are port specific and are not interchangeable. The PZ2 screws must only be tightened by hand. The exit cable anchor and gland must always be moved and fitted to your chosen lower cable exit port. To fit the gland, the knockout tab must first be removed. Cut down each side of the desired knockout as shown using side cutters, and using a pair of long nose pliers remove the tab with a twisting action. The gland can then be fitted. There is also an exit port to the rear. The storage tray can be removed to access the rear exit port by pressing inwards on the two tabs shown. If exiting the splice point through the rear, the preformed circular slot is removed by placing the MCSP face down on a clean flat surface and pressing the two locations shown on screen with a flat screwdriver. The circular grommet provided must then be fitted. 10 rear exit grommets are supplied with each pack of 40 MCSPs, so keep them safe and only fit them when using the rear exit. Let's look at how we strip the cables, route and store the fibres. When stripping the cables, initially you'll need to leave approximately 1.1 meters. This is because 1 meter of fibre is required to be stored on the front fibre tray. This is to allow for splicing and future resplicing in wet weather and should be sufficient to reach onto the tripod tray and cover. For the lower four ports, both incoming and outgoing fibres are stripped down to the 900 micron element approximately 5mm above the cable anchor. Mark the cables 5mm from the top of the anchor. Once stripped, place in the grommets and secure the cables using the anchor screws. The incoming fibre is always routed to the left hand side of the MCSP. For port 3, 4 and the rear, the fibre is routed to the right. We'll take a closer look at the rear exiting fibre in stripping a little later. Once spliced, and importantly when correctly cooled on the cooling rack, the splice protector is placed into the holder with the incoming fibre to the right and the outgoing to the left as shown. When wrapping the fibre, you must always start at the splice protector, wrapping the outgoing fibre into the tray, manoeuvring the fibre to the outer edge of the tray as you wrap. This is to maintain the bend radius of the fibre as it comes out of the protector. Now start at the splice protector again and store the incoming fibre. The tray is small, so it's important to keep pushing the fibre to the outermost edge of the tray to ensure you can correctly store both 1 meter lengths of 900 micron fibre. When exiting to the left using port 1, both incoming and outgoing fibres are routed onto the front storage to the left. Once spliced, and importantly when correctly cooled on the cooling rack, the splice protector is placed into the holder with the incoming fibre to the right and the outgoing left as shown. Once again, start by wrapping the outgoing fibre first from the splice protector, pushing the fibre to the outermost edge of the tray as you wrap. This time you'll need to manage the outgoing fibre through the crossover area as shown. Now wrap the incoming fibre, again from the splice protector first. When entering through the rear port, the MCSP must be placed over the hole so the cable enters directly in line with the semicircle area shown. The cable must not be kinked behind the MCSP. For inside out cable, the outer sheathing must be removed so it doesn't create a water path into the property. The internal cable is stripped down to the 900 micron fibre level with the wall and then sealed using silicone. The MCSP can now be placed over the hole and the fibre threaded through the semicircle area. Mount the MCSP and route the 900 micron fibre as previously described to the right. When you've finished in the MCSP, fit the cover by angling and hanging the cover on the base, engaging the two top lugs. Screw the cover to the base using the two screws in the cover until the cover either touches the wall or the capping. The MCSP has no facility to house a copper connection. For single premises fed UG, where the existing copper connection has to stay connected and cannot be removed, there are two solutions. These solutions are for fibre only installations and does not change the existing copper quality standards for copper provision and repair. Let's look at some of the scenarios and the solutions. Here we have an existing copper feed into a BT66. We can cut the BT66 box across the cable entries and the straps without cutting down the circuit. Remove the BT66, cut a small notch in the side of the capping 25 to allow the existing lead-in through. We then place the crimps in an upright orientation behind the capping 25. The MCSP can now be fitted above the capping and the circuit stays intact. In this scenario, the existing copper cable entry points do not allow the MCSP to be fitted directly above the existing capping 25. Again, we can remove the BT66 as previously described. Manage the cable behind the capping and the crimps placed in an upright orientation. We simply cut a section of capping 25 and extend the capping sufficient to cover the existing hole and crimps if required, or replace with a longer capping 25 if achievable. We now fit the MCSP above the new section of capping 25. In these scenarios, the copper connection must not be located behind the connector bend 4, as this is too low to the ground and likely to cause faults. So again, a section of capping 25 is fitted to house the copper connection. There's three simple rules. The copper connection's suitably located behind the capping 25. The crimps are in an upright orientation, and there's no trapped wires or conductors. Here's some points of reference. Thanks for watching.